So now what happens when I call and I say, hey, I think I have a fever? You can't just tell me, oh, well, I better expect to see you at the restaurant. You don't have the luxury to call out if you're in a restaurant. One thing that I really wanted to talk about, and I think it's really interesting, is how exactly does COVID-19 change restaurant management, specifically in the sickness department. Everyone who's in restaurants knows you don't get a day off. There's no calling out sick. There's no sick days, no nothing, right? If you're sick, and I can speak from experience, there have been instances when I've had either the flu or a really bad sickness, and I get sent home, or I'll work a shift, and I'll work until the point where I'm looking like I'm gonna pass out, or I just really can't do it, and I gotta say, hey, boss, I can't do this. Like I really feel sick. They send you home. They say, all right, go home, get some rest. We'll see you back tomorrow. If you have to work the next day, you have to be back the next day. So you don't really get much more than maybe 8, 12, 24 hours to really recover and get over whatever flu or sickness you had before you have to go back to work in a very high volume restaurant, right? So that's the old restaurant model. No calling out, the tough love aspect of it. I talked to my GM, not my GM, I don't really know what you call them there. For us, they're called concept leaders. For y'all, it might be a district manager or whatever. But we were talking, and back in the good old days, right? I walk up to you and I say, "Hey, GM, I don't feel so good. I have a headache, or I feel like I'm coming down with the flu." He's gonna say, "All right, rub some dirt on it. Here's some Advil, or here's some Dayquil, or whatever. Get back to work." Right? Or you wake up in the morning and you say, "Oh shit, I'm not feeling good for this shift. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I got a headache, or I'm not feeling good." Well, I better see you, or you're not going to have a job, right? Because you don't have the luxury to call out if you're in a restaurant, because some of these restaurants are only operating with maybe 4 managers, including the GM. So if your closing manager calls out, who's going to shut your restaurant down? Either someone's about to work a full, 18-hour shift, or someone to come in on their day off. But I mean, this doesn't happen. You don't get to call out of restaurants, right? So now what happens when I call and I say, hey, I think I have a fever? You can't just tell me, oh, well, I better expect to see you at the restaurant, because that's just a huge headache waiting to happen, right? All one reporter or somebody has to hear is, hey, they made me come in at work and I had flu-like symptoms similar to COVID-19 or whatever, and now your restaurant probably getting shut down and you're probably having to deal with all kinds of headaches, right? So what do you do, right? That's I don't have the answer for it, but I think it was a very interesting question, or very interesting to think about, because has been the norm for years for restaurants. Is even if you're sick and dying, why don't you come on into the restaurant, see if you can work your shift, and if we're not busy, we'll send you home a little early, right? You tell it to servers all the time. I've said it. Everyone said it. Oh yeah, you're sick, Susie. Well, why don't you come on in or try to get your shift covered, and then if we can, we'll cut you early. We'll send you home early, right? Can't do that anymore. All right. So I don't know what we're gonna do, but something's gonna have to change as far as the whole structure is concerned, because I mean, all it takes is one big mouth, or just one person to walk out and say, hey, they made me come in to work when I was sick, and now you can't get away with it anymore, right? Thanks to COVID-19, things have changed.